In working with the family, the first thing we're going to be looking at is an assessment screening. To do an assessment screening, we're going to do it in a few parts. First, we're going to look at individual interviews of the family members, and this will be to make sure, first, that the family's safe. So we're going to screen for intimate partner violence, child maltreatment, co-occurring mental disorders, what's the level of violence or safety in the family. And if any of these areas come up and it seems that the family is not safe, then we are going to make referrals out to the appropriate resources and agencies. The other area that we're going to look at when we do individual interviews is individuals' views on substance abuse, or substance use, I should say, and how that impacts each individual in the family, and then how that impacts the family as a whole. And we'll be looking at each individual family member's ideas and also what's their motivation to change. Are they motivated to change? Are they very motivated to change? Are they not really motivated to change? The next stage that we're going to be looking at is an initial joint interview with the entire family. While we have the entire family together, the therapist or social worker will really be working to observe how the family interacts together. What are their dynamics? We'll guide the family to talk about what were the events that they believe led up to this hospitalization. What kinds of feelings did they have? What kinds of reactions? What's each person's belief and what are the beliefs of the family? And again, we'll be assessing and observing how the family communicates with one another and what are their level of problem-solving skills. Are there areas that need improvement or do they just need to learn the skills in general? The end of the session, the therapist or social worker will be clarifying what they see for the family members and talking about what supports need to be in place for substance use, what are the negative impacts on the family and the family's ability to function. Some other optional assessment tools are genograms to look at the family's history through generations of if there's a pattern of substance use, psychological testing, and also consulting with former mental health providers. In assessing the family, this family can be assessed as severe for their level of care, and the stage of change is contemplation. I say this because the client has been admitted for detox and has tentatively agreed to inpatient treatment. So there's some level of, yes, I want to change. The family also is in the now in this contemplation stage of treatment because they're aware that the client has a substance use disorder. They want to make changes, but they're not, one, really sure how to do that, and two, there's some ambivalence about making those changes. Okay, in looking at the theoretical framework, behavioral theory is the focus for where the intervention that we're going to be talking about has come out of. The main focus of behavioral theory is operant conditioning, so meaning that behaviors can be learned and unlearned through positive and negative consequences, and family members can specifically reinforce these behaviors. So a lot of times family members may be reinforcing negative behaviors. If a child has been using substances or drinking alcohol and they can't function and go to school the next day, and then the parent says, oh, they're sick. The parent is trying to be helpful to the child, but they're not giving consequences, and they're saying to the child, you can continue to do these negative behaviors. Another basic principle of behavioral theory is to utilize this reinforcement. So you really want to work to increase positive behaviors in family interactions and decrease negative behaviors in family interactions. And then another key area to focus on is improving family communication and problem-solving skills. So this behavioral theory has grown in intervention, behavioral family therapy, BFT, or sometimes it's called family behavioral therapy. With this approach, the therapist or social worker is working to help family members understand substance use, learn new behaviors, and promote sobriety. The ways in which this is done is through psychoeducation, learning about substance use disorders, how does it benefit their treatment, how does it support sobriety, and also a key part of this is often parent training. So working with the parent to be able to promote those positive behaviors and decrease the negative behaviors. Communication training is also key. Before working on any kind of problem-solving skills, the family often will spend 4 to 6 sessions working on communication, learning how to express positive and negative feelings, learning how to compromise and negotiate, learning how to make a positive request, learning how to validate feelings, learning how to effectively listen, learning how to ask for a timeout, and all of this is often done with live coaching. Once communication training has been completed and there's a foundation of healthy communication, problem-solving skills training will be worked on as well. So the family will work on being able to identify problems as an individual and as a family, brainstorming solutions, evaluating options, agreeing to a plan, utilizing contingency contracts. So if you do this, you get this. Meaning if you go to therapy, you will get cell phone privileges. If you don't go to therapy, you lose your cell phone privileges for that week. And then implementing this plan and then reflecting on the results. When looking at a treatment plan for this specific family, the first main goal and objective is the process of engagement. How do we get the family to engage in the treatment process? So the first thing would be to work on setting up a contracted amount of sessions and times and have the family to agree to it. We could do all these wonderful things, but if the family doesn't show up, we can't do the work. The client and family will attend the sessions as contracted. Usually 4 to 6 sessions in the first month is going to be the most beneficial, and then we can assess how that worked for future months. The family will be developing an understanding of a substance use disorder, of the recovery process, the benefits and mechanisms of the treatment process. And in order to do this, the family will be agreeing to attend 1 to 2 psychoeducation sessions in the first month of treatment for about 90 minutes. The family will also be improving communication skills. The ways in which this will happen, the specific objectives will be for the family to complete communication skills training. They may be completing handouts, utilizing coaching, and they'll be expected to complete 4 sessions in the first month of treatment for about 90 minutes. The family will become proficient in effective listening without interrupting, validating feelings, non-judgmental communication. Specific goal for the client will be able to tell her mother when she's angry, sad, overwhelmed, expressing her feelings in general. And a specific goal for the mother will be able to speak to the client without yelling at her. A specific goal for the client and the client's siblings will be able to be making requests without yelling, slamming doors, or any kind of physical force. When we're looking at the strengths and weaknesses of this intervention, so the strengths are that this intervention is a research-based strategy, which is a big plus for behavioral family therapy. Often, many of these strategies that are utilized in treatment centers are not research-based. This one is. It's also standardized treatment protocol, so that means that it can be used with multiple families. It's very skills focused, and the communication and problem solving skills provided are for long-term family improvement. Some of the weaknesses of behavioral family therapy is that one, it's much more complex and requires many more skills than just individual therapy, which means that it requires the therapist or social worker to have a lot more training to properly implement it. So this requires more time and more money, which is why sometimes interventions such as behavioral family therapy are not implemented. It's also not appropriate. It's not an appropriate intervention for families with active violence. And if there are co-occurring mental disorders or child maltreatment within the family, there will need to be outside support. And it may or may not be appropriate. There's a lack of emphasis on genetic predisposition and the disease model, and much more focus on skills. But it may be beneficial to also have an emphasis on the genetic predisposition and disease model, especially knowing that this client does in fact may have a genetic predisposition with her father also having a substance use disorder. And then one of the other challenges is that it has some conflicting ideas about Al-Anon or Nar-Anon. So with family behavioral therapy, there's an idea that the family can impact the client with their positive behaviors and make a positive impact. Whereas in Al-Anon or Nar-Anon, it's much more focused on you cannot impact the client or the specific family member. That's on them to make the changes. Family methods of evaluation. So first, in order to review progress toward completing the treatment goals and contemplative stage, we have to look at the family engagement. We could say that the family is progressing moderately towards their goals. I say moderately because the mom and the client have been attending joint therapy sessions, but not consistently, about 50% of the time. And the siblings have only attended the first session. So we may need to look into why and consider the siblings attending one time a month if it's not feasible for them to attend every week. In terms of the goal of understanding of the substance use disorder, I would say that there's been limited progression towards this goal because mom has attended one psychoeducation session, which is good, but the siblings have not attended any sessions. So the other part of that is that the family in sessions has recognized that the client has a substance use disorder, but they've really minimized the severity of the problem. And they really haven't talked about how the family is impacted by her substance use disorder and how the family also may be negatively impacting the substance use disorder. For the family communication skills, again, I would say there's been limited progression towards the goal. I say this because there's been irregular attendance. Mom still struggles with effective listening and validating the client's feelings, and has attended 50% of the time. And the client has done more progression. Being inpatient, she's attended more therapy sessions. And she has begun to express feelings with her mom during sessions. For family problem solving skills, again, I'm going to say that there's been limited progression towards a goal. There's been improvement due to a referral to CPS, and mom has gotten a home health aide for mom, which has been really helpful. And then also the grandmother has been providing support. So this has helped take away the burden of the children and the client to be upkeeping the house. So CPS has been monitoring the safety of mom's medication, which has really been helpful, and the family's not working together to improve family problem solving skills. So The mother has agreed to attend parenting training program as